and welcome to Wrestling and Everything Coast to Coast with your host, Buddy Sotelo Esquire. And this week we have a special host and a special guest, Benny Scala. We always love having you as a guest host here tonight. And of course, the effervescent, ever loving, ever cordial Evan Ginsberg with us, the executive producer from The Wrestler and 350 Days. But most of all, a guy I have wanted to have on the show since we started this 4 years ago, and we've gone back and forth, and it never worked for him, and it didn't work for us. But now we have Taylor Carrera, better known as El Chupacabra. And yes, one of the true legends of Northern California wrestling and Lucha wrestling for all of Northern, not just Northern California. You're a big hit in Southern California too, aren't you?
I've dabbled down there, but yeah, thank you for those kind words. But yeah, no, I've dabbled down in SoCal enough. But I'm just a NorCal wrestler. I never consider myself a legend. I just, I humble myself, and I've been just around great people.
Okay, I'm going to say this, that when I worked for California Championship Wrestling, okay, there were matches I would not miss. It didn't matter who was up against whom. I always made sure to watch when the Reno Scum came in and did their thing. I always wanted to watch when Timothy Thatcher was doing his thing. I always wanted to watch when Virgil Flynn was in the ring.
Yep.
Miss that guy so much.
So do I.
Miss him so much. And you will have a chance to tell us your thoughts on Virgil. And then you were the other guy that I said you just didn't want to miss when you were in the ring. You're so skilled. And unfortunately, these two guys haven't seen your work, but I got to tell them that he is you know who you really remind me of is Ultimo Dragon. Your style is very much Ultimo Dragon-like. Tell us how you all got started and how your road to professional wrestling was.
Let's see. Let's start when I was about 12 years old. So when I went to the Calip House to go watch WWF at the time, an event going on there, we got free tickets for it. My mom was like, yeah, I know one of the wrestlers. He got us free tickets to come here and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. So we watch it. It's just like a little house show, it's nothing big going on. And it's I believe it was Papa Shango out there at the time. So Papa Shango's out there wrestling. And my mom's like, him right there. That's who I know.
Really?
I'm like, wow. Mom, don't BS me. You're just BSing me right now. She goes, oh, really? You think I'm BSing you? So match is over. He comes through like the curtain right there where Gorilla is in the Calip House. You can like walk over and like look down at the time right over there. And she looks down and just goes, Chuck, hey, Chuck. And then he looks right on up and goes, oh, hey, and tells security to bring me, my brother, and my mom down to go into the backstage and stuff. And I'm like, oh, my God, she wasn't lying. Like, she actually knows who he was. My mom and my dad were really good friends in high school with them. They lived like 4 or 5 houses down from each other. So he got us tickets there. And then once I saw all that and did all that when I was about 12, I was like, this is awesome. This is what I want to do. Then I put it aside for a while, did high school and everything. And then what I did is right when I turned, I think I was 17, 18, some guys had a dad that had a welder. He's a welder, welded his own ring, but had nowhere to put it. So this is where I had it in my backyard. I think this is where, Buddy, I don't know if you're working with Butch at the time during these times here. So this is where I had it in my backyard in Sunnyvale, where I'm sitting there. Where I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, let's just try to have a backyard federation for a while. Went on for like 6 months. And then from there, I was like, I want to do something better. I want to do farther than this. I went online and I found an online trial for a quote unquote backyard federation called Western Federation Wrestling. It was ran by Nick Aragon, who is also he's the cameraman for All Pro Wrestling back in the day, and then he is now the cameraman for Pro Wrestling Revolution with Gabe Ramirez. But he had a thing going out and said, hey, come on, you want to try out for a backyard federation? Come on in. I actually went on down, tried out, made the tryout. So I was wrestling in APW's garage as a backyarder.
I remember those days, actually. And I remember watching you get started in the very early part of APW. And then, of course, APW fell apart. There was Pro Wrestling Iron, then California Championship Wrestling. But I wanted to open up the floor to questions from Benny and from Evan, if you guys have any thoughts for for Chupi.
No problem. And then I can tell you how it went from there, because that's another half of the story about where I went to train.
And I am interested. But
I have a two-part question. I guess one, what does Chupacabra mean? And two, is there anyone that you patterned yourself after, like somebody that you watched growing up that you thought, I'm gonna try to wrestle in that same style?
So Chupacabra just translates to goat sucker. It's like another mythological creature where you see like El Kukui or the Loch Ness monster, Bigfoot. So it's just another cultural thing that my family was always talking about, and friends are talking about and stuff. So, but that's where the name is, and I got it from my trainer, the Big Ugly JD Bishop, is the one who gave me the character. My style is like what Buddy, like he was saying before. It was a little bit of Ultimo Dragon, a little bit of Dragon Kid, a little bit of Kurt Angle, a little bit of Rey Mysterio, and a tenacity of like Rhino. Like I just combined a full plethora of characters, just picked apart certain things that I liked about someone and just combined it and made my own style of a hybrid of a Lucha American style, you know, put a little bit of strong style with Japanese and then Lucha based style, but then character work with American. So,
and don't underestimate your ability to fly. You can get up there. You can get up there, or at least you could when I was working with you. Again, that was 20 years ago, so maybe we've all put on a little bit of extra gravity.
Wait a minute. You worked with him 20 years ago?
Yeah.
He does not look that old.
It's amazing.
I don't.
You've
I'm
phenomenal shape.
I'm actually 42 years old, and I've been wrestling since I was 20. So, and I'm still going. I just got back from a show yesterday at 3 a.m. It was at Big Ugly's dojo show in Vacaville, and I live in Reno, Nevada. So.
Yeah, no, you trucked all over California, and you've done. I mean, Northern California knows you. Your name is, at least in indie circles. And no one even says Chupacabra anymore. They say Chupi, and they know exactly who they're talking about. Evan, do you have some questions?
I love Lucha. The best indie match I saw this century was Penta against Phoenix. It was so great. They were throwing money in the ring. It was a mostly Mexican crowd. They were literally throwing money into the ring. The ring was full of dollar bills. So my question would be, what do you say to the critics? And I've heard this ad nauseum. Oh, Lucha's too choreographed. They're just waiting outside the ring for the guy to jump on him. And I'm like, well, it doesn't bother you when the Undertaker wakes up from the dead or whatnot. I mean, it's all suspension of disbelief.
Vince McMahon wins a Royal Rumble, yeah.
I mean, what's your take on the critics of Lucha?
I'll dip my toes a little bit on this because I know we'll probably talk about this more later, but for the past about 14 years, I've already dealt with it with just the promotion that I help run, Hood Slam, here in Reno. So if you know anything about Hood Slam, we're like the island of misfit toys where, we do things that weren't the norm for wrestling and everyone hated it. But right now, it's now the new thing that everyone's doing because we were the pioneers of it. But for your question about Lucha Libre, I mean, to each their own. I mean, you got to understand that, some people, it's just like a movie genre. Some people don't like horror. Some people don't like comedy. Some people don't like this. So the best I can do is explain to them just the fact of you're the guy sitting out there waiting for him, jump on him right there. But do you really think Captain America and Iron Man are sitting there, really waiting for the other power up to make this dramatic scene? I'm like, they're making everything what they want to be for the cinematic feature. So, that's the way I explain it to them.
There you go.
So from APW, there was a gap, and then yes. I met you then in California Championship Wrestling. So tell me about how everything led you to working with me at CCW.
All right, let me see if I can remember this correctly. So after
it's getting to be some time.
It was some time. So back when APW was doing a tryout, and I believe Gabe Ramirez was one of the bookers at the time there. I was going to try out there for an APW tryout, but I injured my hand. I broke my hand. I have 2 pins right here. My finger went from here all the way over here because I did the Rey Mysterio springboard leg drop. So unfortunately, I couldn't do the tryout for APW, and I failed, and I couldn't do it, in a certain amount of time period. So at the time, Kryptonite, who was from Sacramento at the time, which is about 2 hours away from the Bay Area, mentioned that I can go wrestle and train in Sacramento with someone named Big Ugly JD Bishop.
And just as an aside, I want to say Kryptonite's one of the nicest guys in the world, isn't he?
Oh yeah, one of the greatest guys.
He gets very little mention,
Exactly. That's why every time I have my story, I throw that out there because it's the truth and the fact that like Kryptonite was one that helped me get from the Bay Area to 2.5 hours away to Sacramento to go train. So, but yeah, he got me over there. I lived in the Bay Area for about maybe another 4 to 6 months, and I was traveling 4 days a week, 2.5 hours a day, just to go to Sacramento, train, set up the ring, take down the ring, come back, do my job, do the same thing the next day. And then after that, I got lucky enough, and my wife and I moved to Reno, Nevada at the time. So instead of me driving from the Bay Area to Sacramento, I was driving from Reno to Sacramento, as well as training in Reno with the Reno Scum, with Adam Thornstowe, Luster the Legend, Paulo Zadora, Malachi, Hardcore Dayton. My trainers in Reno were Brian Brigger, and ECW original Mustafa Saeed. So I was lucky enough to be training in Reno and training in Sacramento 5 to 6 days a week for about 6 months. So my training was, I was learning old school 80s style and then new age style with, Japanese strong style and lucha style as well. So, and then from there, I was able just to train and go out to Central California, Oregon. And I think CCW was maybe 2 or 3 years after I started wrestling. I think CCW
was like 2006 to 2008. We had it going on.
Yes. So my 4th year in wrestling was when CCW was going hard, strong. And I believe at the time, because I started
prime. You were in your absolute prime, man.
Well, that was when I switched, because I was, I don't know if you remember, I was originally El Hijo de Chupacabra.
Correct.
I came out as a mask because my trainer, Big Ugly JD Bishop, was the original Chupacabra. His trainer, Brian Ward, from North American Wrestling, he was with WWF and stuff back in the day. But he bestowed the character onto him, but my trainer didn't want to be the Chupacabra anymore. He wanted to be his own name. So while I was training, the joke between himself and El Flaco Loco was, it'd be funny if Chupacabra had a son. And you've seen Big Ugly, so he looked right at me. It was like, perfect. You guys are like, it'd be father-son duo, perfect right there. Wore the mask for a while, for about 1.5 years, but then unfortunately, I broke my face. My whole left side of my face has 24 pins and 4 plates.
Oh my God.
Yeah, took a big boot with my mask on, had red mesh, overcompensated. The heel came up and crushed it all the way through.
Oh.
So after that, I decided I did not want to wear a mask anymore. I was done with it. I was like 2 years in. And I mentioned to both Flaco and Big Ugly, both my trainers down there in Sacramento, that, hey, I want to put contacts and teeth in and face paint and stuff and make it different from what everyone else is doing right now. What do you think of that? And literally, they both laughed at me. They both were like, nah, this is going to be dumb. You're going to do what? You're a Lucha Libre guy. You got to put a mask on. I'm like, trust me, I can do something different with this character. And they both, laughed it off and said, do what you want, but you're digging your own grave. So right after that, that's when you see me coming as El Chupacabra, where I got demasked in a match and I had my eyes and teeth under, continuing on the Chupacabra while he got demasked and showed his Big Ugly JD Bishop. So,
yeah.
So that's when, and I think that's around the time when I got demasked is when I started going to CCW.
Right. And I want to let these guys have a chance to talk.
Yes, I do apologize. I talk a lot. He knows I sit in the locker room. I sit in the locker room and I play ribs. I have fun with everyone. I sit there and just talk to everyone about how their match is going, try to help improve stuff. And I'm a talkative guy to everyone.
But when I was in CCW, I mean, I was too busy trying to, take care of like running the Fed and like, making sure, taking care of my character and all the guys I was working with and all that stuff. I never had the time to just stop and like talk to you and like say, what's it all about? I mean, what are you all about? I mean, it's so weird. We worked together for like 4 like almost 4 years, but I never really just like hung out with you and just because that's not, you were like guys like Virgil and guys like yourself and Arcade and Mark Smith and Tony Jones. And when you got to the ring, when you were there, you weren't there to really like BS around. You were there. You were really like get ready to like do your thing and to like do your match and to like go over your stuff.
I'm really sorry that I gave off that impression, but you know me, me and Virgil, we were the quote unquote helicopter landing on top of the roof guys because we were driving so far and like pulling it at the last minute. We're always like, hi, sorry, gotta go.
It's true. I mean, but you were never late. I don't ever remember you being late to any show, despite how hard you and you never flaked when we booked you. You always made it to our show. We know we could set our watch to you, and that's something.
Rain or snow. Yeah. I was always there.
Yeah, you and Virgil were like I mean, as right as rain. And you gave 1,000% on every match if we had 500 people there or we had 5 people there. I'm saying there's a few professionals out there that will always give 100% no matter what kind of crowd they have. And you always gave 100%. That's something that I never had a chance to like thank you for with CCW and just take you aside and say, man, of all the professionals that we've worked with, like Thatcher was that way too. Brian Cage, when we had him, was that way. I mean, Christopher Daniels, when we had him, was that way. They just gave 100%. You're one of those people, right? Where did you get that kind of solid work ethic where you just said, no matter what, even when we have a crap-ass crowd, maybe we had some crap-ass crowds towards the end, you still would give it 100%. Where'd you get that from?
That's installed from my dad and my grandpa. More my dad. He's been my rock, and he's been around, coaching me from baseball, basketball, football since I was 8 through I was 18. And it wasn't just like a coach; he was like the head coach, assistant coach. Like, and he was always there, but he showed me just how to be a leader, how to put yourself ahead of, to make everyone else happy besides yourself. I mean, that sounds kind of wrong, but for like the crowds that are there, these people paid money. Okay, it's not their fault that there's no one else here besides them. They paid money. I'm gonna give the performance of what they want. Okay, because they paid for it. So that was just kind of the things that just installed me since I was young. Just do the right thing. Do what should be done. Why am I gonna half-ass the show because there's not enough people in there? My job is to entertain the crowd that's there. I got paid to do a job, but I'm still getting paid. I'm going to do my best for everyone that's there.
Not every time. CCW, we made sure you got paid. But I know you've worked shows for like Devil Mountain and shit like that where you probably got the hot dog and the handshake. And the hot dog was...
I mean, it was that NorCal period that was going on for a while. But I mean, at the time, I knew it was coming up for it. But then after, that's why I stopped and just started doing certain ones. And that's why I started just doing Hood Slam.
Yeah, no, that's great. Guys, I'll let you guys... ask some questions, Benny.
Well, first of all, coming from a family where work ethic was everything, I have all the respect in the world for you for what Buddy just said. But and you just mentioned that really gruesome injury, but you look like you're in really good shape after wrestling for 20 years. Have you any other bad injuries besides that one?
Yes, I just came back. Last week was my first match in 6 months. Total shoulder reconstructive surgery. My labrum was torn all the way off.
I'm gonna have to have that done, so I'm not looking forward to
it. So my labrum was torn all the way off. My bicep was torn and gone, and out of my rotator cuff, they said almost all the ligaments except for one was making it hang on, and I was wrestling on it for 6 months. So if you watch anything from July to February, about 6 to 8 months right there, that was all with my arm barely hanging on, and you can barely tell.
How did you go through all that?
I have no clue because, I don't like taking pills. I don't drink anymore. So, like, it was just a lot of just, head down, go through the trenches and just do it. So,
My God.
but yeah, that's my most recent injury. So all the metal in my body is in my hand, my face, my shoulder. I have knee injuries from all the stuff I've done. I've broken all my fingers and my toes.
Can you get
and
through a
stuff
metal
like that.
detector without setting it off now?
Yes, I've asked. None of it's titanium, or it's titanium alloy, so it doesn't register. I've always asked, but I was like, darn. But my recent injury is just my shoulder. But I got back from 6 months of that. I had to like do PT for that, physical training, everything, and now I'm, second match back was yesterday, so I'm feeling good and well.
I'm gonna have to message you for some tips coming up when I have my shoulder done.
Do nothing. It's literally do nothing. I sat for 3 months with the sling with the little pad onto it, with my reclining chair upstairs in my bedroom with my wife, and I sat there for 2 months and I couldn't lift even 5 pounds.
Well, that's something to look forward to.
Yep, and if it's your right arm, I apologize if you're right-handed because you're gonna have a horrible time going number.
I've been using my left arm a lot for the last months.
Practice.
Yeah,
practice.
Yes, Evan.
What's your take on ageism in wrestling? You have the talent, the experience, a great attitude, the reputation. But, there's certain promotions, they'll just say, hey, he's 42. And I don't think that's fair. What's your take on that?
I mean, I understand it from a business aspect as someone that you want to invest in. You want to invest with them from a younger age so they could progress with the company and have longevity with the company. So you'd rather have someone go from 22 to 42 or 52 instead of someone going from 42 to 52. So from that business aspect, I understand it. Like, hey, man, we're putting money into this company. We want someone younger, fresh, so we can keep them going, yada, yada, yada. But from someone like my aspect, like how you say, I have some good reputation. I'm still young. I'm healthy. I can still go at it. Even with my injuries, I'm still going 100% no matter what. I feel like maybe the opportunity should still be put out there now. And I think in this new era of wrestling, it's getting put to the test that way. There's a lot of new guys that are starting in their quote unquote Diamond Dallas Page age, where they're coming out later and they're pushing it later. And they're now, getting pushed. I mean, like in WWE, you had LA Knight, who was, what's his name? Was Eli Drake in the indie scene. I met him over there. And you can just tell that he had that thing, that had that it factor with him too. And he was going to push it. Like he did it. And by him being, I think he's 42 as well, he shows everyone proof right there. Proof is in the pudding. You can just push it as long as you've got, the skills, you've got the mic skills, you're able to the drive. You can do it right there. It's point proven right there.
Benny, back to you.
Well, I was just gonna say if Dory Funk just wrestled at 83, so you got
83. I just saw that.
Mike Jackson's wrestling on Indies. He's 74. He's in tremendous shape. 74.
And Johnny Rods is still training people. We were talking about that.
Yeah, he's in his early 80s.
Yeah, we just talked about that.
I told my wife, like, I have no other clue what I'm going to be doing the rest of my life other than probably coaching my kids in sports or doing something with wrestling. So get prepared to, take me out of the wrestling ring at 80 something and then straight to the coffin.
Yeah, why not? Like maybe all of us, will die like watching wrestling or writing about wrestling or talking about wrestling or making a movie about wrestling or something like that. That'll be our last moments. But Evan, do you have any other questions? Because I got kind of a long question for Chupi after this.
Yeah, and I hope you guys I have no time limit. I am free right now, so if you guys have no time limit, I have no time.
Well, they're on the East, so I don't want to keep them up too late. They need their
almost past my bedtime already. Yeah.
but absolutely.
I wanted to ask, what do you consider the greatest match of your career, or what you're proudest of as far as your career? Because you're out there 20 plus years.
So I know this one's a cheat, but any match that I've had with Virgil Flynn, he passed away about 6 years ago, I think now, from a heart issue. And he's been around since day one when I was training and stuff like that. We were tag team partners. We traveled up and down California together and stuff like that. But look up Virgil Flynn, El Chupacabra. He's one of the only guys that's smaller than me that I was like, yes, I can pick up and power bomb someone. I can do big man moves too. But this guy would just define gravity, just naturally. And like everyone had to have a gimmick. Like I'm El Chupacabra. I'm not Taylor Correa. We have the Stoner brothers right here. Rick Stoner.
They've been on the
two
show.
Friends.
We've had them on the show.
Yeah, so those guys are my best friends as well. They've had to have a character. I mean, everyone has a character. He was Virgil Flynn III. He was himself. And he was thrilling hundreds, if not thousands of people for what he would do. Just death-defying moves and just made it look like it was so easy. So
it was like Too Cold Scorpio. He was really had the talent level of Too Cold Scorpio.
Just phenomenal. So hold on.
So missed by Northern California. I mean,
but other than that match, any matches with those, and then Funny Bone. I had a match with Funny Bone at Hood Slam where it was tributed to Virgil, where we just did blow for blow, hardcore match after, hardcore stuff after hardcore stuff. I jumped off a 12-foot ladder into the ring, and that was just, that was one of the biggest moves I did in a long time. And I'm like, I think I'm too old to be doing this.
I hope so. I hope you are starting to put some limits. We don't want to see you, wind up like Vic Grimes has,
No, I put a lot more limits onto myself now.
Yeah, I mean, he's now having to be carted around in a wheelchair. He can't. He barely moves. Nice guy too. I really liked Vic.
I love Vic and Joe. I mean, Joe Applebaum. Pogo the Clown. He's one of my original trainers too, and I love him. And Vic's always been. He's always had my back ever since.
Joe has a lot of rough edges, and he does piss a lot of people off by saying the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Yeah, but that's why I love Joe. That's exactly what
he'll tell you the truth. He will tell you the truth according to him every time. But
Joe in my eyes can do no wrong because he comes at you with that hardcore Hell's Kitchen mentality where he's angry and pissed off for the moment, but he comes back and turn around and he'll apologize in a way that's just like that straight.
Yeah, he knows when he's pushed people too far. That's why he stayed in the business.
Yeah, I love Joe. Joe's one of my
push people too far to start with. He'd probably get people. He'd be more beloved. But what do you? People either love him or hate him, but almost everyone respects him. Everyone has
everyone respects him. Yes, everyone respects him. But no, yeah, he's a great guy. Love that.
So I'm gonna throw some names out here and just give me whatever comes off the top of you. You already said what you needed to say about Virgil, unless you want to add more things. But I mean, honestly, between you and I, we could probably fill up the entire hour just talking about Virgil, and it wouldn't still meet what I feel I owe him for the kind of professional he was to us at CCW. I love the guy. I really love the guy, and I miss him tremendously, as much as I miss the next guy I'm going to bring up, Mark Smith. What do you have to say about Mark?
So, Bison, he was great. Like, I think when I first started wrestling, and at the garage in the backyard for WFW, he was still performing there, and I think he just started going to Japan, if I remember correctly, because I think it was him, Modest, Morgan. They were all going over to the area to Japan with Noah, I think, at the time, and he was just a beast. Like he was just when he was in the building, you could just see the big head walking through and everything like that, and but just scary in the ring, but like really nice in the outside to all of us. Like I only met him a handful of times, but he was able to just like talk to me here a little bit there and like say nice things. So, but like I said, only a handful of times, but very, very nice guy.
Let me throw out Timothy Thatcher.
Mr. Thatcher, I love that guy. So he's one of the guys that trained a class or two after I started training. So even to this day, he comes up and he's like, "Hello, sir. How you doing?" And I have to like slap his hand, like, "Stop it! You don't call me sir. You're traveling the world doing what I wish I was doing right now."
It's amazing, isn't it? Just mind blowing how much he's accomplished. He deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. But it blows me away what he's been able to do with his talent. It's
yes,
great.
and we all knew it after he left here and he went. And he had those great matches with Oliver John and just Big Ugly and stuff like that. And you can tell after, like, yeah, he's got it. He knows what he's to do. And he found his niche and just left. I was like, good for you, Timmy. Good for you.
Now, did you do any work with either Bryan Danielson or Brian Cage?
No, Bryan Danielson. Brian Cage, I've known Brian Cage before he went pro, and wrestled with him in his backyard because he's from the Chico Redding area over here in Northern California. And so I would come from either Reno or the Sacramento area and go wrestle in the Chico up there with him for his federation and stuff like that. And I wrestled Brian plenty of times. Like, he's one of another guy that, yeah, he's a big old muscle guy, but another nice guy, takes care of you in the ring, understands that, what we have to do to put on a show. He knows that, okay, I got to take this move. You're going to take this move. We're going to have a great time and put each other over. So Brian, phenomenal. I really don't like what they're doing with him in AEW. I wish he'd get pushed a lot more, but I love Brian.
That's great too. And then I was going to also throw out Simon Gotch.
Pass.
No problem.
Pass. Other than that, like, I have nothing positive to say about that guy. There's a lot of negative things that have happened, and
it's actually shocking that he got such a big push with the WWE as a vaudevillain. I was surprised.
I'm not shocked because I know how he is. I'm not shocked at all.
It should have been you. You should have gotten the shot. I mean, or Oliver John should have gotten that shot, in the WWE. I'm really amazed.
It's always right place, right time for some people, and some people in the right place at the right time. I've just never been in that right place, right time. So
I don't know why.
This year, I'm going to hopefully change that now.
And if AEW had been around when CCW was kind of in its height, I think they would have taken a shot at Chupacabra. I think they would have. I think there's a number of guys that we had that they would have taken a flyer on. And you had the kind of character and the kind of color and the showmanship I think AEW really would have loved. And they may still, but it's a tougher thing to do when you're older than it would have been when you were right in your prime in your early 20s. I think that would have been, AEW would have been so perfect for a lot of the guys that we had in CCW because we really had that kind of talent that they're looking for. I'll throw it back over to you guys. Evan, you have some questions.
What do you have coming up?
Next shows are coming up. Let's see, September 6th. I'm going to be visiting Oakland for my first Hood Slam. We'll see if I step back in the ring or not, but that'll be the first Friday of the month over in Oakland, California for Hood Slam. Other than that, let's see, September 13th and 14th are Big Ugly shows in Sacramento and Vacaville. September 15th will be Next Level Pros show, fundraiser show for one of our good friends, Daniel Torch. His house caught on fire. So he lost basically everything in his house, and now we're having a show for him. And all proceeds go to him, so everything's going to go to him for that show.
That's a great thing that you guys are doing. I really appreciate that.
We were all friends in real life. I mean, yeah, we beat each other in the ring, but we're all friends behind the scene. I mean, this is just us trying to do the right thing for each other. Let's see. After that, the next one for the rest of this month, September 21st, is my show that I'm running up here, Hood Slam Reno, at the Yeti. So, on top of me wrestling, I also book Hood Slam Reno when they come here when I allow shows here to come here in Reno, and then I book Wild West Championship Wrestling in Reno. So I do adult shows one month and kids shows the other month.
Wow, God, that's really busy. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, when do you have a weekend to yourself?
I don't. So usually, let's see, the past year and a half, I've also coached my daughter's travel softball team, both of them. So I have 4 kids. I've been with my wife for 25 years now. So we have an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 2-year-old now.
Wow. So, my twins just turned 13 today. My twins just turned 13 today.
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
They weren't around when I was at CCW, though. I wouldn't know how to keep up the schedule like that. It's really amazing.
I've done it where I've actually wrestled a Best of the West in Lompoc, match 2, which is 8 hours from Reno. Tell Mike Rain, thank you very much. Jump in the car, drive back, sleep about 5 hours after, get sleep for 2 hours, drive back some more, be like, Sunday morning, the tournament's going on, just so I can be there to either coach or watch. Because I don't want to miss, these things in my kids' lives. These are once in an opportunity things. So
Evan did a whole movie
on
that with 350 days and how many professional wrestlers regret leaving their kids behind when they had a 350-day year schedule.
That was honestly one of the things that pushed me to just be there when I can, and it made me just know that just to be there. So if I'm tired for a couple hours, that's fine, but I'm there with my kids for their music recital, their choir, their achievement at school. I'm there for them. That's the most important thing for me.
Over time, that's the thing the kids will remember. That's what you'll remember, and you'll say that was all worth it. Benny, let's go back to you.
So I saw my first wrestling match in 1968 on TV. It was Johnny Rods against somebody. It's amazing the guy's still around. But I've seen a lot of changes in wrestling in the last 56 years. You've been at it for 20 plus. What changes have you seen since you started?
Well, like I mentioned earlier with Hood Slam, which Dark Sheik, which she started with it, we helped change and revolutionize the presentation of wrestling. 14, 15 years ago, we were the ones at Hood Slam that started to have no chairs around the ring. We had their fans up to the front. Not these East Coast promotions that were saying that they've done it first. Hood Slam did that first. They followed suit with us once Dark Sheik told them how to do it. Doing the narrative of just, doing more theatrical plays of where you're going to have a whole theatrical show instead of a wrestling kind of show. So on top of myself being El Chupacabra, I do Sub-Zero, Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. We've done anime shows. So we've done a plethora of theatrical plays. We've had Hood Slam the Opera. We've done Femmed Out for drag shows. We've done a lot of things that have just not been the norm for wrestling that we've done these past 14 years that was very, very, very taboo prior to this. So by us stepping over and not giving a damn about what people are saying, we're going to do our own thing. Now, if you look at wrestling these past 5 years, 10 years almost maybe, the genre is switching and everyone's just giving that same mentality of, we don't give a damn. We're going to do this. We're going to do it this way. And I strongly believe that us at Hood Slam are the ones that pioneered all that.
Yeah, no, Hood Slam's done a lot, and they're very influential, and it's amazing to see how the roots of all of that, started in places like SPW, Pro Wrestling Iron, and APW, and CCW, and Wrestling for Charity. It's just the same, a lot of the same guys, and they're all the very influential ones. I mean, guys like Adam Thornstowe and yourself, and that Reno Monster Factory, thing, and that you've now transformed that into Hood Slam, basically East, and Hood Slam West in Oakland, Smokeland, they've got their thing going, and it's really helped generate a new, crop of talent, because with no APW around, APW is really, unfortunately, at Tony Jones' funeral, I did see Marcus Mack, and he seemed like he had no interest in getting APW back off the ground. Maybe someone else will pick it up and run with it, but right now APW is pretty much dead. So, and it's been tough. The BTW's been gone since Kirk White died, so there's kind of a vacuum, and hopefully Hood Slam will fill it in, and guys like the next generation, you guys and the Stoner Brothers will pick it up and move forwards with that. But we can always hope. Do you watch any wrestling now? Are you watching any shows? Any of the pro wrestling feds that are out now? Are you watching any of it?
Yes. So I, like I said, I was out for 6 months, so I couldn't do anything. I had to, sit there and watch something. But no, actually, I started maybe in October of last year, where I watched WWE. I started watching SmackDown. So I think this is right around the time when Triple H was just starting to take over. And I was just noticing the different camera angles and little things going on. And I'm like, okay, because prior to this, I was really turned off by the product. I was just watching Japanese. I was watching
all of us, that included. You weren't the only one feeling that way.
Yeah, so I started just going back old school, and I was like, okay, let me start watching more Dragon's Gate, more Torimon again. Let me go back, and because that's the style that I love. Like it's where it's the great theatrical style with a little bit of comedy, but they still do hard hitting acrobatics and stuff. I love that. But once WWE started to do all of this and getting their foot, in the door with Triple H as their leader, I was invested a little more about who they were using, how they were using it. Just everything was just sucking me in more and more, the stories and just everything. I'm like, this is great. I started getting into AEW because I love supporting my friends that are on there and everything, but it just wasn't captivating me enough to keep on coming back weekly for that. Impact Wrestling is great. It's getting great now, but it was the same thing as with AEW. It just wasn't drawing me in. It wasn't making me want to tune in at a certain time, other than to see my friends that I see that are on, on the show. But other than that, like WWE right now has just been killing it. That's all I can say. Like I'm really happy for everyone that's there, and happy for that product. It sparked a lot, not in just myself, but I believe a lot in wrestling, everywhere around, because of just how, even on the downside, they're letting go of certain wrestlers and they're coming on the indie scenes now, and they're pushing the indie scenes hard now. You know what I mean? So like it's a win-win, I think, is going on right now for the wrestling scene, and I'm enjoying that.
Nice. Evan, we got about time for another round of questions from everybody. So Evan, what's on your mind?
I'm not as enamored with WWE as you are. Watching two big names fight over a friendship bracelet just seemed kind of silly to me. I'm more an AEW fan, to be honest. I think Bryan Danielson and Ospreay are as great as anybody in the world. But, it's all subjective. It's all subjective.
And at least the WWE is changing. I think what we're.
I'm personally not knocking the wrestling for AEW. The wrestling in AEW is phenomenal. Like, it's great. Like, there needs to be crowds there for those people putting on what they're doing there. It's more the story, just how it gets to things is what's kind of not drawing me into it. Every other aspect of like how they're pushing it, what they're trying to do, I can see where they're kind of come from it, but I just feel like they're just missing the marks story wise for me.
Well, Chupi, I would take a little issue on that, and I'd say end of the match booking has sucked in AEW. Just the run-in stuff that they have. In fact, you just can't have a clean fucking pin, except, it happens maybe once a show where you have somebody actually pin somebody or they submit. It's always some kind of garbage finish that really cheapens what was usually a pretty good match in the ring. But it's like, if you have a great dinner and then dessert was just terrible, you give somebody a Tootsie Roll for dessert, even if you had a steak, you're going to remember the Tootsie Roll. And you're going to go, God, that meal sucked. Even though you got a pretty good meal on the way, but the dessert was terrible. They give you an aperitif that it tastes like, a shower water or something. You're going to have a negative feel on it. I think that's been a problem to me, is the end of match booking. Someone needs to really tell them, have a clean finish. You don't have to have guys running in on every single match that happens. What do you think of that?
I agree. I mean, it just takes away from what's going on in the match. If it's going to be something of that output of where someone's always running in and there's no actual clear cut finish. But I mean, if it's that way, yeah, no, I totally agree on that. Because I like, clear finish, whatever's going to happen, continue on with the story. But if there's always something like the other two lackeys come in and beat this person up, or this person comes in out of nowhere, or just if it's always something continuous like that, it gets rid of that factor of the surprise where I feel. So that, but I'm sorry, it was if that answered your question for
yeah,
that.
No, I appreciate your thoughts on that, Benny. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm actually doing a podcast on Tuesday because it's going to be, I think, right around the 25th anniversary of SmackDown. And as part of the research for the podcast, I looked at the ratings, the viewership, and how they, since '99, from '99 to now, the 25 years, it's gone from about like 5 million to less than half that. And I'm going back to the Monday Night Wars, 97, 98, where like maybe 10 million people were watching on a Monday night. I guess my question to you is, where do you think all those fans went? We've lost a lot of wrestling fans, and do you have any idea how we might get them back?
I believe a lot of wrestling fans just got burnt out of just what was going on. And right now they're kind of iffy of trying to come back because they're hearing little stutters of like, man, wrestling's getting so good right now. Everyone should be getting into wrestling. So those former wrestling fans are probably like, I don't know. Like it's like I've been broken hearted before. I don't want to step back in this relationship again. It's kind of that thing I'm seeing. But I believe by what WWE and AEW is doing by doing PLEs internationally is helping out a lot better. Not just doing Saudi Arabia, you know what I mean? Just like doing everywhere where they're going. That's been phenomenal for wrestling as a whole. I believe the fact of them just the independent scene is getting big with Hood Slam is up there with us. Just everything on the West Coast is getting big, everything on the East Coast is getting big. What they're doing right now, the interchanging of having wrestlers from WWE and TNA or Japan coming into these other promotions. I think that's now stirring up the controversy of like who can come in and wrestle who, and I think maybe within the next year, hopefully that can get enough wrestling fans back into it, because now we're intermingling not just with this one island of just wrestlers. It's this whole world of wrestlers are now opened up to.
That's a great thought. And,
good answer.
Yeah, I think that, it's the kind of thing that there is a massive oversaturation. I mean, when we were younger, it was finding wrestling was a real chore. You had to like luck into it sometimes. You knew it was like Saturdays you get Mid-South Wrestling or the NWA, later when it was on TBS, and then you'd have, Monday night, before Monday Night Raw even, you had Tuesday Night Titans, and you had to find those things. It wasn't so the USA Network had stuff on, every so often, but now it's, we were talking the other day about just the fact that there's pretty much 5 to 7 days a week wrestling, depending on what, specials or pay-per-views. Who knows what Netflix is going to do when they take over the WWE and move all that stuff over to their network, how many times they're going to show it or how much that's going to increase ratings. Do you think that is going to help, or do you think that's going to make it more difficult when Netflix takes over?
I think it's going to actually be better. So everyone's thinking that they're going to go rated R. They're going to, do all this stuff. I believe they're going to do the same exact thing that they've been doing. They're just going to have, they don't have to cut for certain commercials and certain cut scenes. So I think what I envision, what I hope would happen is what Lucha Underground was doing and what they're going to try to do, because without the restraint of like the cinematic part, but with no commercials. So I think they're just going to just play it out a little bit more and being able to present themselves more as a cinematic theatrical play than, having to break for commercial here, commercial there. So I think the style is going to change a lot more. I think it's going to be a lot different because they're not going to, do a big double down move and go, we got to go to commercial break.
Evans brought that up several 100,000 times, I think, and shrinking it so it's picture in picture, but the ad gets all the attention and all the volume, and meanwhile the guy's pile driving the guy through 8 burning tables, but it's in a 2-inch square that you have to.
They're this big.
Yeah, you have to get a magnifying glass to see. Even if you got a 100-inch TV, it only takes up a tiny corner of it. So
I think having 37 commercials in the middle of a match is very helpful to the continuity.
Well, you brought up how when you were in Korea, you watched matches that they show all the commercials up front then the entire match, then a bunch of commercials after, but they don't.
Yeah, they treat it like a sport, like boxing, where they respect the product. I was in a hotel waiting for my wife's Korean, waiting for her to get ready, and I'm watching, WWE and all the promotions, and they never cut into the matches. They had a ton of commercials before, a ton of commercials right after. They never interrupted the match. It was almost like showing respect to it. Like you would never cut into a boxing match in the middle of a round. Never. No. So it's the same principle. And I'll watch a match on AEW, and I'm an AEW fan, and I'm like, oh my God, they just took 2 picture-in-picture breaks, and sometimes a third where they actually go to commercials and it's not in picture-in-picture. And the match gets lost in the process. Lost. Yeah.
Yeah. All for the advertisers. And like you said, I feel bad for the entertainers that are doing it, because now what happened if it's this one guy trying to make his big break, and then look, he's been stuck in this little square this whole time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I had one other question, which is, I've always looked at you as like the representative, NorCal representative for Lucha. I mean, you really, you sort of, have been part of that scene, but then also part of the regular wrestling scene. I just want to know, how do you feel about the way Lucha right now is being portrayed in wrestling? Are you happy with it? Do you think it should be featured more or more serious, or is it just about the right kind of thing, the way the WWE and AEW have incorporated Lucha, or are they just way off?
I think everywhere but AEW and WWE is doing great with Lucha. Like the platforms that it's getting put on, the people that they're pushing it with. AEW tried doing it for a while with Vikingo and Commander and Black Taurus and just all the other luchadors that are coming in, but I feel like they put the luchadors as more as like the side act, like check out my funny dancing little pet over here. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what they're kind of do with it, and I feel like WWE does kind of the same thing. They're just not putting them in the right pedestal that they should be. But as far as what's going on with the scene right now, like everyone's phenomenal that's coming up right now in Lucha. Like like I said, Vikingo, just the things that guy is doing in the ring. Like I've seen it in person, and I'm just still in awe of what those guys are doing. But thank you for calling me the ambassador of the NorCal Lucha.
I just thought of you as that. That's just
that you can thank to Jesus Cruz. I've known him since the backyard days as well, and he won that. Once I turned pro, he was like, hey man, I know when you're gonna get pro, you come hit me up. And he was doing Lucha shows all around, and that was exactly how I got into it. I've always loved Lucha, and I wanted to get into it, but I had no way of getting into it, and he's the one that pushed me and got me into it. So I was able to wrestle, all the great luchadors that were coming through here in NorCal and everything. So that's
wonderful. Final questions, guys. Anyone want to bring up your final
shot? I have a question that just popped in my head. You have 4 kids. You're 42 years old. If you could do it all over again, would you take some desk job somewhere that paid you a fortune of money and made your life a lot easier, or would you take the same path and do what you love, being in wrestling?
I would do the same path. So my industry that I've been in now, I've been for 20 plus years. I've been in the warehouse business. So the job I've had has been 10 years at the same place that I've been. But warehouse has been great because I know my hours, I know my time, I got benefits. I plan accordingly. Like if I want to have a job that's from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Friday, cool. I can leave and still do stuff with my kids and pick them up, or do sports after. So I've had this talk many, many times with my wife. Like I said, we've been together since we were 15 and 17. So, and we've been married, basically since around then. And we've had this talks plenty of times. Like, babe, like I can do it right now. Like, babe, I can go right now, go get a job that gets X amount of money. I can make, 6 figures a year, but I won't be around. And, I've actually mentioned this to my kids plenty of times throughout their life. Like, would you like me to not do this? And they've all said no. So, I mean, we've actually had discussions and talked about it because I'm a part of their life, so I want them to know that I'll be here for them. But I don't have to be here for them physically, but I can be here for them financially if they need me to be. So which way would you want me to be with it? So no, I don't think I would change that ever again, because that would be me living with regret. And I don't live with regret.
You sound like one of the rare people that have figured life out. Most people never do. No, seriously.
Well, I'm very blessed. Like, so my mom and dad divorced when I was younger, so I've seen the horror of like how parents split up. But later on, like 10, 15 years later, they became good friends. They come together for Christmas and Thanksgiving for my kids, sake and stuff like that. They're both married somewhere else, no issues, like that. So they've showed me just how life is and how it's going to be. And like certain things don't go your way, but think positive about it, move forward with it. And I'm very lucky for my wife, because I wouldn't be able to do anything without her. So she's, anything in my life that I've done, it's because she's been right there behind me 100%, allowing me to do everything I need to do.
Benny, do you have a final question?
Yeah. So once your actual, and not that it's coming that soon, but once your actual in-ring career is done, do you see yourself staying in the business in some capacity?
Yes, because as I said right now, so when Hood Slam comes to Reno, I run the shows up here. I also help book and part owner of Wild West Championship Wrestling up here, that are kids shows. The owner, Charles Thomas, I've known him for about 2 years now. He's been gracious enough to let me have the ring basically and use it whenever I want. So we're going to hopefully get a school going here soon. So, like I said, I love, my dad coached me. I loved coaching as well. I've been coaching baseball, basketball, football since I was 17. Like I said, I coached my daughter's softball teams and stuff. I coached my son's baseball team. I just love teaching. I love giving back. And if I could do that here and do something for someone else's dream of making someone want to be a wrestler and do that, I would love to do that 100%. So I see myself either being a trainer and a coach, or I told my wife I'd probably get cameras and do video editing, because I'm not going to leave the business. I'm going to be in the business this whole time. And she understands 100%. She loves the business too. She loves the people that we've met. The people that we've met through the past 25 years have just been our family now. So she knows.
Chippy, the business will always need people like you. The business will always need someone with your integrity, your talent, your vision, your wherewithal. That's something that we always will need in this business. So on that, we're almost out of time. Why don't you give your plugs out to the public, so if they want to get a hold of you and our fans and all that stuff, you can give them your social media stuff.
Like I mentioned before, anything on social media, at Hood Slam. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or X, Facebook. You can find us on that. For anything for myself, it's Chupy, Chupy, So now I just got to say it twice. If you can't find me on that, I think I have it on TikTok. It's Chupy FTF, or it's FTF Chupy. One way or another, you're going to see my beautiful face with the contacts and teeth and the face paint on there. I have that pictures on all my social media sites. Other than that, check out birdswillfall.com. Anything for Wild West Championship Wrestling in Reno. Any of that just to support myself here. Yeah, that's all I have.
No, this has been a fantastic interview. Again, thanks, Benny, for stepping in, and for Mike and Evan. Always great to have you here. And Chupy, I don't want it to go another 20 years before we talk again. So really, anytime you want to be on the show, you want to promote, any shows that are upcoming, we're a big friend of the NorCal wrestling scene or the Reno wrestling scene. So you're welcome to be on the show anytime again. And there's still a million other things I wanted to ask you, but we just got to respect everybody's time. So we'll have you on again, and really appreciate it.
Let's do this soon. My next show that I would like to push would be September 21st. I'll send you the flyer here on Messenger. So that one's going to be another Hood Slam one up here. A great show.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Everyone, have a great night. We'll see you again next week. Good night, everyone.